Great day, leaders. We are here. Welcome to the Empowerment Zone PD Cast, you all. Week 68. Prep without panic. Sure, we started out with a couple of technical difficulties, but we're still going to go with it, you all. We're still going to go with our planned professional development for today. All right. So, please. Yeah. So we back at it, you all. We're going to definitely go. Let's see, can we make sure we get shared back out? Make sure everything is we on our different lives, and we're gonna get going. Here we go, you all. Here we go. Let's go. We on our different lives, and we're gonna get going. See if I can get Sister Dot back in here, because we're gonna make it happen today. Couple of things. First off, definitely want to start out in the day of observance, Martin Luther King holiday. We can't go without recognizing his greatness, recognizing what he did for us to get us going in America, and living on and going on well past the civil rights movement and into where we are now. And of course, we still got a lot of work to do. We know that, but that's all right. That's a part of it. That's why we're on this continuous journey, because we can't stop. We won't stop, you all. So, as always, I like to start with a moment of silence for our country, just because we are in this thing together. There's a lot going on. We're constantly faced with many different battles. And as always, I like to just start with a moment of silence just for us, you all, because we got to continue to speak life, as well as think about the positives that we can have if we push forward, the outcomes that we need to have. We got to think about them in a positive manner so that we can get there, right? Because you can't always think in a negative manner. We got to put that to the side and stay in our focus. So also, let's let you know that as we get ready to go into our prelude for the day, you all, before we get into the content, prep without panic, leading with purpose through testing season, making sure it's a successful testing season. We're going to definitely, as always, make sure that our leaders, our educators are ready for that moment and ready for that time. Again, we had technical difficulties on the first stream, but that's all right. We're still going to make sure we make it happen today, because we know that the information that we talk about here is good collaborative work that we all need to be doing in our school. So we got to just stay on point with it and stay with it. And one thing I want to mention in our prelude before we get this PD going today, and in the spirit of MLK, opposition does not cancel your purpose. Opposition does not cancel your purpose, our purpose, right? And that's a powerful message. We got to be able to stand in the gap, just like King did. Even though there was opposition, even in his greatness, there was opposition. Even after his death, there has continued to be opposition. We've talked previously about being in leadership and knowing that being in leadership comes with being persecuted, being put out there, sometimes left for DEAD, dead, left out alone on an island by yourself at times. But when you're in your purpose and you're leading, you got to understand that opposition, that doesn't cancel your purpose. Neither does it cancel your greatness. I'm going to say that again for you. Opposition does not cancel your purpose, nor does it cancel your greatness. Sure enough, the opposing parties or the people who are in opposition wanted to cancel your greatness, want you to sit back and allow your purpose to be defeated. But when you're in your purpose, that does not happen. So know that opposition can't cancel your purpose. And you say, what do you mean by opposition can't cancel your purpose? Usually when you got opposition, that means you're doing something that really matters. That means that the people who are opposing you, they thought it was supposed to be this way, continue to do it this way, but you, on the other hand, you had an enlightenment. You had a way that the different strategies, the different skills could be enhanced, and you wanted to go for it. So know that resistance, that does not always mean that you're wrong. It's confirmation that you're doing what matters. Nothing can grow in comfort. You have to be uncomfortable. You have to be able to live in discomfort a little bit in order to grow, in order to have progress, in order to get past some of those familiar challenges that have continued to plague us or to plague you, or depending on the situation that you're in. So when we talk about opposition can't cancel your purpose, there's 3 points I want to give you today. And one is, we got to be fearless. We got to be fearless. We got to be fearless. And that does not mean that you disappear when it disappears when you're doing something right. The fear gonna be there. But it's the idea of us getting past the fear in order to be courageous and stay in that moment and stay within our purpose, because we're going to have fear sometimes within ourselves, but we got to get past that fear. So in other words, we got to make ourselves fearless, make ourselves in a manner that the criticism doesn't matter, that we don't have to always be perfect, that things happen, but at the same time, we're going to continue to push excellence, that we're going to continue to be fearless in our quest for being excellent. That's power in itself, because now that means my purpose greater than anybody's approval. That means that my purpose is greater than the approval of anybody else. And when you got that kind of power inside of you and you pushing forward within your purpose, you know that the opposition can't cancel your purpose. So courage, that's something that we want to have moving forward. We talk about being fearless and having courage a lot at the end of our program, if you ever been in during our closing. So that's one of the cornerstones of what we have to do as people and as educators as well, because you got to constantly be innovating, constantly be working within your craft. And that's whether you're in the education field or if you're in some other part of life or some other professional capacity, right? Next thing, in order to make sure that you don't allow the opposition to cancel your purpose. Let me put that back up there for some of you just joined. So we just had some to join as well. We in the prelude. Your opposition does not cancel your purpose. The sad thing about that is that you got to be resilient. You got to be resilient, understanding setbacks. That's a part of the process. That's a part of the path. That's going to happen. You're going to have them, but resilience, that's that ability to stop, readjust, recover, rise again and again and again. You don't allow yourself to be defeated. Defeat does not mean that you're defeated. And you take that mindset and that mind frame through everything that you do when you know that you can't allow the opposition to cancel your purpose, because your purpose is greater than anybody's approval. And that's powerful, 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 you all. I can't restate that enough. And the third part of that, you gotta be consistent. You gotta be consistent. Consistent, that's gonna outweigh, that's gonna outlast the critics. That's gonna give you an opportunity to stay strong through it all, because you're consistent. And when you're consistent, that means you're working towards something. And when you're working towards something nonstop, your confidence rises within that same craft, and that gives you more opportunity to keep going. So now I'm fearless, I'm resilient, and I'm consistent. No opposition can cancel that purpose when you living in those steps and you have that type of order to what you're doing. So we just got to continue to push forward. And the thing about it, a lot of times you hear people say that pain is temporary and it's a sign of weakness leaving the body. So is opposition. That opposition that you face and that adversity that you face, those obstacles that you're facing, right? They temporary. They're temporary. And we can just see past and see forward. We're going to get through it all, you all. So let's go. Let's go, you all. It's going to be a great day as always. Again, I definitely apologize for anybody that joined at the first part of it. We had a little technical difficulties, but again, we still here, you all. We still here. We are still here. Definitely. We are still here. So we're gonna get ready to get into the PD. Your setbacks are preparing you for a greater comeback. Your breakthrough. Thank you, Coach Dot Makita G. Definitely appreciate your input today. You definitely are always on the ball with helping us. Definitely appreciate you. If you all definitely like, comment, share it out. We got some good information we're about to get into today. And I like to be proactive, you all. I like to be proactive. And I was at one of my schools this past week coaching. And I said, wow, it's only 3 months to testing, because we now officially at the end of January almost. We're going into what is the third or fourth week of January that we're starting. So there are only 2 more weeks, and we'll be in February. And a lot of schools, a lot of districts around the country are testing at that particular time. So, and I was thinking to myself, I said, wow, we got to make sure that we're ready. We got to make sure that we don't wait until the last minute. We got to prep without panic. And of course, we've been doing that anyway. That's part of the reason why we've been in the Empowerment Zone PDcast all year. We've been going through the different steps as we go through the school year, right? We started with data and instructional practices. We moved through a lot of different topics, a lot of different areas that are crucial to school improvement, school leadership, being an educator in general. And when we keep that in mind, we just want to keep getting better. You all. We want to be on the up and up. So when we prepping without panic, we're going to go through about 4 or 5 different bases here, you all. And one of the things about it, when you're preparing your school for the testing season, which is an all-year process, but we're going to break it down. You all know we like to get into the weeds of it a little bit so that we can break it down in a different way. We want to establish the conditions for testing success. You say, well, what you mean? We teaching every day. We're covering the standards. We are doing all of our extracurricular programs. We have a academic program where we focus on where we are going. We have a pacing guide. Our teachers do their lesson plans. We have all of our top 10 arranged in a way that when anyone comes into the room, it's easily visible and understandable what's going on. I get it. And you should. And that's all a part of it. I'm a proponent of all those things. We talk about those things. So I know that those are definitely high yielding practices, some of your best practices. But that's not the same as preparing or establishing the conditions for a testing success, for testing success. That's crucial. So, because now you got to understand that testing season is going to make everything that you've done or that you're doing, it's going to amplify. It's going to amplify because some people feel pressure doing testing season. You know anybody like that? Whether it's a educator, whether it's a leader, or whether it's a teacher, or whether they're students. Do you know anybody that feels the pressure doing testing season? I know people. I felt it before. So I know it's a very real thing, but we can prep without panic. Because number one, confidence builds you up to not panic. How do you get the confidence? By making sure that you put in the reps, making sure that you have the different implementations rolling with fidelity, that you reflect, you adjust, and you make good on the things that you need to do and see in your school. Vocabulary issues are a real thing. So as an educator, I got to make sure that my vocabulary integration pieces are solid. And it's something that they're dealing with or learning every single day. So we got to normalize confidence. We got to normalize confidence over being fearful. What you mean? What do you mean? We got to make sure that we understand we've been preparing all year. Look, Johnny, look, we've been preparing you all year. You're going to go in there and master that test. And we still got some time There are these particular objectives that you have not mastered, but at the same time, we're going to continue to work at them. So you pump confidence over fear. Not saying if you don't master this objective, you're not going to be able to pass the test, or you're not going to be able to be that successful young man in your life that you want to be. No, normalize confidence. We've been preparing. That's going to reduce the stress. It's already stressful enough on your students, stressful enough on your teachers, stressful enough on your leaders. So we want to reduce the stress. We want to knock the stress down. We want to stop having all these extra meetings that aren't about instruction and data. I ain't trying to step on anybody's toes, but we don't want to have all of the different meetings right now that have nothing to do with this upcoming season. We don't want to have a meeting where we are admonishing one particular individual, but we got to do it so the whole staff can be witness to it. That's a morale breaker. This is not the time. This is not the time. Right now, everything's on the up and up. We're pushing forward. Even in those situations where you're building up teachers or you're coaching leaders, even in those situations, you got to still bring the evidence so that you can give them proper feedback so they can live in confidence, still improve, accept your constructive criticism, and still have the opportunity to grow. Let's go, you all, right? This is important, but it's got to be normalized as this is the way we do things in our school. This is part of our culture. So all those unclear initiatives, all that bad miscommunication, we gotta do away with it during this particular season. And we still got to be visible. We got to still be visible even during this testing season, even more visible. Maybe not always evaluating, maybe not always even giving feedback, but now if you evaluate, give feedback, but not always pushing the needle where it's uncomfortable, right? So you got to make sure that you're visible though, because you don't want anyone to slack right now. And you can't wait until March to get ready for your April test, or to now we're gonna lock it down, we're gonna turn it up. I see that so much. But now you create an environment for stress and panic, but instead always prepare continually and constantly, and now you don't have to cram. We don't want to subconsciously teach cramming to our students, because that's what happens. If we set up the remediation schedule, we hadn't done one all year, and now here we're going to start doing it at the end of the year when we knew what the data was saying from the beginning. That's an adult problem. Don't mean to step on anybody's toes. So just a couple of tips to kind of make sure you got that testing culture. Make sure you're communicating positive weekly, message, huddle. If you follow me on social media, you'll notice I do a Monday motivational or Monday morning memo each week where I motivate the people that come to my page. And it's always in a way or format that you can take from and apply it to life. You can also apply it to your different professions. And of course, educators are able to do that as well, because I'm always speaking from an educator lens, even when I'm speaking from a lens of a life perspective. So when I think about that, you got to make sure that those messages are positive. Every time you send out a email communication or a memo, it shouldn't be tearing down somebody. You got to make sure you're the major uplifter in your school environment, whether you're a teacher in your classroom, whether you're a leader in your building, whether you're a district administrator, whatever the case. That's our primary goal as educators, to empower, to uplift, to give. And a lot of times it may not be reciprocated, but that's okay. That clear message, right? So in addition to that, make sure you got those clear standards, clear signature strategies that you've been working on all year. We've done a segment or two on signature instructional practices. This is the time where that should be coming into play. You've already been practicing. Now it's time to perfect them. Now it's time to buckle down, get them in the mode where, okay, the kids are starting to move. the leaders or the teachers are able to see the effects of working on something continuously. That's important, you all. So with that being said, let's see what we got in the comments here, you all. Definitely appreciate you all jumping in here all the time, every week. Love it, love it, love it. Encourage, motivate, ignite, elevate your staff to win the game. Yeah, definitely appreciate you, Coach. And when we continue with that, you all, just want to add in here your instructional alignment. Your instructional alignment is going to lead into testing. You got to make sure that your instructional alignment leading into testing is not from cramming, as I stated before, but you got to have your academic focuses together. You got to know that, look, we working on our questioning. We got to make sure that we using high order thinking questions. That's crucial. Vocabulary that is dedicated and it's tiered. You're using our tier 1, tier 2 vocabulary integration techniques to build up the student's potential for reading on the test. All of our high stakes testing, they're mostly reading comprehension. And we're teaching 4 or 5 different skills at a time when sometimes our students haven't mastered 1 or 2. And then we wonder how they come up on the test as with a 1 or 2 score where you're following them minimal or basic, where they never had an opportunity to master the skills. They never had an opportunity to master those skills. So let's take a look at that. And you can't wait until March. You got to prep without panic. See, we got to prep without panic. We got to be proactive in what we're doing every day. We should be talking about it. We should be involving ourselves in the testing process. Y'all, please. So when we think about, yes, I have it. I thought I had it. I don't have it. All right. So y'all give me just a moment. Did you give it? Sorry about that, you all. Getting ready for an event and looking for some keys, so just had that minor break there. But we're going to get back to where we were. Writing stamina, right? We have our writing pieces, right? You got to make sure we hone in on those processes, that we continue to work on our different writing strategies, as well as our reading strategies, our literacy pieces. All that's got to be continued. We all be fine-tuning it coming down the stretch. You got, like I said, 3 months now, and you got to be invigorated by it. It can't be something that's going to get you down. You got to prep without panic. Panic, that's not going to bring about the success, but having the repetition, building the confidence, experiencing the growth, that's what's going to give you the opportunity to lead successfully through this upcoming testing season. Making sure that those bell ringers and exit tickets are state test formatted, because now you're giving the students more and more opportunities to look at how to have an opportunity to have exposure at how the test looks. That's purposeful. That's purposeful. All right. So when we continue, now we're looking at not over testing, because now you want to be strategic in preparing for not over testing. You want to have your mocks. You want to have those opportunities where they look at the testing center, meaning that you might take them in there. It might not even be that we're going to do a mock today, but I want you to go in here and visualize what that day is going to be like. Visualize what you need to do on this particular day, how the room is going to be set up, the seating arrangements. All of that matters. And of course, most times you're going to have a testing coordinator, but as a leader, as a teacher, make sure that we're getting ahead of the game by getting with those testing coordinators, seeing what they have to do so that we can make that experience a real thing for students and teachers. because teachers have anxiety about it as well. So when we looking at that, make sure we're gonna do those smart testing strategies. Yeah, it's gonna be simulated, but at the same time, we got to look at those choices, how to eliminate choices, balance the preparation with the instruction. All of this matters, and we have to make sure that we're repetitious, not waiting to the end. Again, prepping without panicking, leading your school, your students successfully through testing season, because you want to show growth, you want to show proficiency, but there's a method to ensuring that it occurs. There's a method to ensuring that it occurs. Debriefing strategies after those mock tests too. Now, I'm gonna throw that in real quick because that's very crucial. You can't just go get the data and then never review those mock tests. That's crucial information because now I'm able to go back, see where I made mistakes. I can do that only when the teacher allows me, though. Only when we're able to go back and get that mock test or get those sample items to be able to look at them, because guess what? When I break down several of these types of questions, now I'm able to break down more of those types of questions. That makes sense? Because most of your passages, your different concepts, even your problems, they're going to stem and build from one another. All of the objectives stand on one another in all of your different grades. So that's crucial information as we move forward. One of the last things, we got a couple other things, but one of the things also, you all, as we continue to talk about prepping without panicking, student mindset and belonging. It matters during your testing season. You can't perform in an environment that's not safe. We had a prelude about that last week or the week before, but safety is a prerequisite to high performance. I'm going to say that again. I need to write that one down. Safety is a prerequisite for high performance. I've got to feel safe in my environment in order to perform at the highest levels. And as the leader, as a teacher, as an educator, we got to make sure we put them in environments in which this can actually happen. Because we know that students and adults perform best when they feel safe. We talked about it earlier. Let's look, avoid those "this is your future" statements, because we don't know anyone's future. Because they can be resilient, be fearless, just like we talked about in the prelude, and make sure that they get past anything and everything. And people can have an awakening, an enlightenment, and the whole trajectory of their lives can change. So we're not going to go, "this is your future" with the students. We're going to say, these are your opportunities. We're going to celebrate your effort, celebrate your focus, celebrate you working hard and persevering and maintaining a path toward the goal, because it's easy to get off the path. We forget that sometimes. It's easy to get off the path, but we want to keep you on the path, and that's a charge in itself. That's a charge in itself. So pump those morning affirmations, pump those creeds out. Make sure you're doing all of that down the stretch, because mindset, belonging, that matters. Make sure your leaders, educators, teachers are visible, right? Still speaking to students. Remember, we started the year off speaking to students. We start off being in high energy with students, but it's important to keep that high energy, maintain it throughout, if we're trying to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to flourish daily. Yeah. You got to love it, you all. To do what we do, we got to make sure that we are always keeping our own feet to the fire so that we can push our schools and our communities to next levels. Crucial, you all. And the last thing, that data, that mid-year data, that beginning of the year data, all that's going to form our next step. That state test data from the prior year, all that's going to form our next step. And we can't allow it to define our worth. We can't allow that to be a negative when we're trying to help students, even because I've been in a situation where I've had educators get to a particular student's data point. Oh, this student, that's all they're going to do. They're not going to get any better. You've already shot that student in the foot, crippled his ability to move forward. He can't walk because you shot him in the foot. He didn't hear your comment, so you think it's okay, but that's your thinking and your mindset. And we got to check that. We got to check that because anybody has an opportunity to grow, to be better than they were on the day before. So when that occurs, understand that someone has to stand up for that particular student. Because if they're doing that with one student, there are other students as well. But every student can grow. And the last thing is, we got to look at maybe there's something that I could do to cause about growth when that's not occurring. Instead of saying, oh, the student can't do it, they're not going to be successful, they've always done this. We can't throw our students away. We got to maintain in the gap. They need us. We got to make sure that we're providing a safe environment for them. And we got to make sure that those conversations about their data are positive, even when it's not that they have great data. We got to look at the bright side of it, because if you got bad data, that means you can't go anywhere but up anyway. That's what helped me go to and choose a lot of the different schools that I principal at, because I want a school that doesn't have the best data. I want to be able to go in and make an impact, be able to help our students and our teacher capacity improve. And those type of situations give you the best opportunity to stretch out that growth, because you have leverage to move, leverage to where they're not all the time stuck on doing it a certain way. That may be part of the problem as well. But when you're in an environment where you can't go anywhere but up, you got to be creative, innovative, and constantly put yourself in a situation where you can be better for that organization. Powerful, powerful, powerful information, you all. Powerful. What we got there, Coach Doc McKee. In Illinois, there's a practice on the Illinois State Board of Education site in the early year. Okay. Sometimes panicking is the result of a lack of preparation. Yes, indeed. But instead, if you prepare, that gives you the confidence where you're not panicking. You're not afraid of the result, because now I'm going in with the confidence because I've done my reps. I put in my work. All that matters. All of that is so crucial, so important to you all. So as we get ready to come to a close here in a few minutes, I just want to say that when your culture is solid, your instructional practices are aligned, your leadership can be steady, and then the students can rise. Consistency helps bring about that. We got to understand that success is built on us being clear, it's built on us having consistency, and it's built on us doing what we need to do to bridge the gap, to accelerate learning for our students every day in every way. What's one thing that you're going to do this week? How are you going to make an adjustment this week to strengthen both your culture and the academics? What are you going to do within what you're already doing to ensure that you're preparing without panicking? It's got to be intentional. It's got to be intentional. What are you going to do, though? I just want you to think about that as we get ready to go out this week. What are you going to do to make the adjustment? What are you going to do to strengthen the culture down the stretch, to remain positive, but at the same time hold people accountable and put students in a place where they can not only master the objectives, but they can learn how to live and then work for the rest of their lives? That's the charge. That's the charge today, you all. That's the charge today. Like I said, I definitely apologize for the technical difficulties on the first link. And it was a mute button that I had to find, and I found it. It wasn't the normal button on the screen here. It was another button. So I was able to find it, and we were able to get it. We got to be resilient. Technology sometimes fails us, but at the same time, we got to continue to show up. So as we move through it, you all definitely want to wish you the best on a great week. Have a great day of observance tomorrow. Definitely get an opportunity to be your very best self. With that being said, I want to just say, continue to live, love, and learn with your heart. Continue to be courageous so that you can drown out fear. And continue to search for wisdom so that you can live in your true purpose in all your faces and places. May God be with you. Have the best day you are. Thanks for joining the live. Go Bears. Okay.